The endeavor to achieve a dynamic synthesis of the changes of environment and mood culminated in the setting for Kundera's Keepers of the Keys, with the perfect fusion of movement of setting and actors. Lighting plays a basic role in the mood of a scene. For spatial effects with counter-light screens and luminous curtains, new instruments with low-volt sources were developed. In the magic flute, they emit individual, precisely defined rays. In other instances, the light stream is intercepted by masks, parts of the setting. For example, a branch in the seagull. In Drahomira by J.K. Teal, an architectural form. Pure light can achieve the same effect as a composition of pictures and spaces, as we see in these four variations of the same unit set intended for the opera Swatopluk by Sukhon. In Dalibor, the mood is altered from open areas to caged enclosure. In the setting of Don Carlos, this acquires the character of architecture.
Parou, Luiz. Agora não... Vê se você avança mais. Talvez continue.
Let's see how the setting for a play is produced. This is the Prague production of Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. The first phase consists of conferences with the producer, alternating with the studio work of the designer. Out of this confrontation of ideas emerges a scenic project, the staging principle and the inherent changes of moods of the scenes of action. The first is a matter of drawing, the others evolve in three-dimensional testing of improvised models. At this point, the designer makes use of flats, sheets, revolving rings, cubes, frames, and a number of other elements. Provokes another. They complement and merge. Their combination and mutual influence gradually produce the final form. It is obvious that the main role in this will be played by the principle that is most plastic and, for the designer, most attractive, the frame construction. The plastic attraction, however, is tempered by the influence of the director and his concept of the play. Individual centers of action emerge. Their alterations and transitions have to be worked out according to the demands of the play, the intentions of the directing, and the scenographic principles. And then, suddenly, the production is complete in model form. But before the completed setting appears on the stage, it has to be prepared technically, a production process as complicated as work in the most exacting factory. The more so as the work produces only separate fabricated parts to be assembled, for the sake of maximum of mobility of all parts. The small wall, the fountain, reversible portals, wardrobe cubes, the floor, and the arcade that we see before us are only transformed into a finished set, as we shall follow now from the rear view of the model, after a complicated process of reassembly. Even the contents of each part of the set changes in meaning. It starts right on the proscenium with the shapes of the cube and the wall. Their mechanically regulated movement and the performance of the actors will transform the cube into a fountain or a loggia, and the wall into a garden wall or a seat or a bench. The construction in the middle band of the stage, the portal frame, gives us a more realistic idea of the mounting and fitting of the different parts that look like toys in the model. The concentration of material in this center is as exacting in construction as it is in its manually controlled movement. Only in combination with the actor does it fulfill its pictorial task as a closing part of the scene, serving to divide the stage. An interesting task of the many to be performed is the arrangement of the most important element of the setting, the arcade in the rear of the stage. The airy construction of a floating, unsubstantial loggia is put together entirely on the stage.
Para a cena
It
do
is fixed to
balcão,
an
é um
indistinct
balcão,
socle
né, de
and
Julieta.
moves with a confidence as though it were not guided by
E
a
ele
human hand.
surgia, ela num carro vinha como se estivesse vindo do espaço, feito de luz, né? Ele avançava no espaço, não imponderável.
The arcade is completed by a complex set of metal girders holding up the floorboard. The role of the floorboard is to extend the acting area by a further plane. Varied centers of action
Esse é o balcão
differentiated also by
projetado no
lighting
espaço.
evolve
E
by
se
altering
transforma
the
com a
position
luz,
of the
né?
various parts. The lighting gives the group's spatial variety, expression, and mood. The purpose of the details are fulfilled only with the aid of the lighting and the action, above all of the arcade and the little wall, which are the important meeting points for the two main characters. The environment of Verona, alleyways, streets, squares, gardens, parks, courtyards, palaces, and rooms alternate before us in the model as on the stage. Quickly we move through all the 18 different
São
scenes of the
todas as
play.
variações do
Smoothly
cenário,
and
né? De
indiscernibly,
Verona
they are
e
altered by
Mantua.
the opening and closing of the frame's center of gravity and the dividing point of the set in the portal. The monumental effect of the architecture passes before our eyes as before the spectator at a performance. It captures the proportions of the style of the period and the airy atmosphere of open, sunny squares. It sets both the solid mass of the architecture and the unenclosed freedom of the area, both in contrast to and in harmony with the tragedy of the main plot. Together with the producer, the designer forces the spectator to turn his attention above all to the background of the social conflict, to the harshness of the world in which the lovers of Verona are so bewildered and lost. During the performance, the technical and plastic problems that we have traced dissolve and disappear. With the wave of a magic wand, suddenly the frames, the boards, and the blocks become Friar Lawrence's narrow cell or Juliet's airy bedroom, or again a sunlit square with a fountain, which only under these conditions can be transformed into a bed or a catafalque